Hello, I am Sylph, and that over there is Matt, and this is Sylph Uncensored. So, Matt, you wanted to clarify something you said last week.
Yes.
We on this show do not condone shooting anyone that wears a mask that shows up at your house.
We are not lawyers, so do not take any legal advice from us ever.
Yeah,
we may forget to say that, but I think last week I mentioned that if somebody shows up to your house wearing a mask, doesn't identify themselves, and tries to kidnap you or your family, you should shoot them. Don't do that. As I found out, so they could be federal officers and they don't have to identify themselves. They don't have to be wearing anything that identifies themselves as federal officers, and they can just kidnap you, and that's totally legal. So,
I mean, you're saying don't do that, but also
great.
You should protect yourself. So, don't just go with someone if they show up at your house trying to kidnap you.
Well, that's the thing. If you protect yourself somehow by fighting back in any way, you're taking the risk that this is a federal agent and you're committing felonies.
Right.
And there's no way to tell, if you're actually protecting yourself from some bad guy, like a gang member or something trying to kidnap you, or if it's federal agent.
Right. So
what the fuck?
Fucking great country we live in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say it's up to you whether you want to take the risk of getting kidnapped or take the risk of going to trial.
Yeah.
Bariel, what were you asking? Don't go in someone? Did we say don't go in someone? I hope we didn't say that.
Maybe that's supposed to be with someone. That's what I originally read it as, but
yeah. Anyway, so this week we've got a horrible video to watch. This is Timcast IRL. So Tim Pool's podcast. A video titled GOP blocks vote on releasing Epstein files. GOP is trying to, and this is in all caps, protect victims. So I disagree.
Yeah.
Letting someone's perpetrator go free after, they molested someone as a child, not protection.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are protecting no one in this case. I mean, well, you're protecting child molesters, but you shouldn't be doing that. All right, here we go.
From Axios, House GOP blocks second Democrat attempt to release the Epstein files. And I'm sorry, this is optic victory for the Democrats. Republicans are flubbing this bad.
I mean, it's not just an optic victory for the Democrats. It's a victory for child molesters. That's what you're talking about, Tim. This is a victory for the child molesters who flew to Epstein's island to go do unconsensual things with minors.
Yes.
That is what you're talking about, Tim Pool.
Axios says House Republicans on Tuesday voted down another Democrat procedural maneuver aimed at forcing the DOJ to release documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. It's the second time this week Democrats have forced their GOP colleagues to choose between loyalty to Trump and a MAGA base that is furious. Democrats are already promising future votes. Quote, that was probably not the last time you're going to see us deal with this issue, House Rules Committee ranking member Jim McGovern told Axios.
Good. They should keep doing it.
Right. So at this point, basically, we've got two parties. We've got the party of pedophiles, the POP, and we've got the party that wants to release the list so that these pedophiles can be convicted. Which side are you on, Tim?
I wonder.
Republicans dismissed the vote as a cynical partisan ploy, with Rep. Tim Burchett telling Axios it's...
I'm sorry, a cynical partisan ploy to convict child rapists.
That's right.
I'm okay if that's partisan. I mean, it shouldn't be, but you know what? It's my party that wants to convict them, so cool.
Go for it.
I'm glad I'm not part of the pedophile party.
I think I'm pretty safe to say that I'm not on the list, so go ahead and release it, since, I had no idea who this guy was until basically after he was dead. So
Yeah, raise your hand if you've never been to Pedophile Island.
yep, never been.
Yep. Yeah, I don't see Tim raising his hand. I don't think he's been, but like,
Well, he's paused. So yeah,
Donald Trump is probably on that list, which is why
Yes.
he's trying to keep it from getting released.
yeah,
It's not about protecting little children, and that ticks me off. The House voted 211 to 210 against.
I'm sorry, it's not about protecting little children? It literally is. There are child molesters walking around free right now, like extremely wealthy, powerful child molesters who will probably molest more children unless they're convicted. How do you not get that, Tim? This absolutely is about protecting children. And right now, the Republicans are standing in the way of protecting children.
yep,
Allowing a House vote on Rep. Ro Khanna's measure to force the DOJ to publish the Epstein files online within 30 days. Democrats' procedural motion would have scuttled the GOP's legislative agenda for the day in favor of the Khanna bill, making it difficult for Republicans to vote for it. The vote went along party lines. It came after Republicans in the House Rules Committee voted
With all Democrats who were present voting for their party's maneuver and all Republicans voting against it. Every single Republican voted to protect pedophiles.
yep,
Just let that sink in.
Monday night against attaching the Epstein language to a broader cryptocurrency and defense funding vote. Now, here's the thing. Here's the Khanna amendment, and I did speak with Rep. Khanna earlier. He told me that he was going to draft a bill, a new one, that clarifies the language because it is not his intent that the DOJ publish all of the videos of abuse on their website. That being said, if this was presented to me and I was told to vote on it, there's only one thing you can say. You can say no. Democrats, knowing they won't win, get to vote yes because it's a
All right, so Tim Pool is in favor of protecting the child molesters.
yep. He's part of the POP.
Yep.
political ploy. But I with respect to Representative Khanna, I want to see him put out the new measure that clarifies this would not require the DOJ to publish thousands of videos of child porn.
Yeah, that's why they voted against it, because they're worried about DOJ releasing thousands of files of child porn.
Obviously, it wouldn't. That material is illegal to own.
Yep.
Obviously, it wouldn't. What the fuck is wrong with you, Tim? That is just an excuse to, again, protect the pedophiles.
Yep.
That's what your party is doing, Tim. And, like, he knows that. Of course he knows that. He's just giving excuses for his party protecting the pedophiles.
Yep.
The amendment says, A, the Attorney General shall retain, preserve, and compile any records or evidence related to any investigation, prosecution, or incarceration of Jeffrey Epstein. B, not later than 30 days after the date of this enactment of this act, the Attorney General shall release and publish any records or evidence related to any investigation, prosecution, or incarceration of Jeffrey Epstein on a publicly accessible website. This amendment is in and of itself a poison pill. Any evidence we know, based on not what the Trump administration has claimed, based on the evidence we've seen so far just across the board, based on what Ghislaine Maxwell was accused of and convicted of, would include images of children being abused. How and this is it's laughably insane.
So again, that material is illegal to own. So obviously they are not going to release that material.
Right.
He's being purposefully obtuse here in order, again, to protect the pedophiles. That is what Tim Pool is doing right here. This is infuriating.
Yeah.
And it's all just an excuse to protect Donald Trump and his mega donors, who I don't know for certain whether Donald Trump is on that list, but I know he flew on Epstein's jet a lot.
Yep. There's
And
some credible accusations that Trump was definitely there and did some inappropriate stuff.
Yep. Let's see what he's done publicly that we know for sure. He flew on Epstein's jet a lot. He walked into the Miss Teen USA beauty pageant changing room to look at all the naked teenagers. He has talked publicly about his own daughter, who was underage at the time, and other girls who were underage at the time, very grossly. He's got tons of photographic evidence that he and Epstein were pals for a long time. So he's probably on that list.
Look, with all due respect to Rep. Khan, he said, our legal understanding from our team is that the DOJ would not have to publish that. And I'm just like, yeah, sorry, dude. I can respect he's saying he's going to.
Yes, obviously they wouldn't have to publish that. It is illegal material.
Yeah.
Redraft, like remake it to clarify that language.
But you're still dragging the attorney general into court when she doesn't release child abuse videos.
Well, so his argument is that's not the intent of the amendment. My argument is,
yes, of course it's not the intent of the amendment. The intent of the amendment is to hold child molesters accountable for their crimes. That's the intent of the amendment.
Yeah.
And right now, those child molesters are out free.
Yeah. Don't you want to hear what Tim Pool thinks the intent of the amendment is, and how it could possibly not be a completely insane take?
Yeah, let's hear it.
It doesn't matter what your intent is. They have to abide by what you actually wrote and what will be passed by Congress. If the Republicans vote yes on this, and I think they should, because in the event they do try to force the DOJ to publish victim materials, it's Ro Khanna's fault. I would prefer, however, that he actually clarify his bill, say this will not include.
So, hold on a second. His take is that they should release CSAM because it will hurt a Democrat.
Yes.
Wow. Obviously, they should not release that. It is illegal, unethical material, and they wouldn't have to release it under this amendment. Like, an amendment can't force the government to release child sex abuse material, period.
Yep.
Include any information, videos, or evidence that would re-victimize, would show anything illicit, illegal, child porn, etc. The problem then is you're giving the DOJ full leeway to redact anything and everything. There's no effective way to do this in the way he's trying. He should at least put forward a bill saying.
So there's a reason that I use the term CSAM, and I actually used to use the term that Tim just used right there. But Dave and I had a chat with this. Basically, the idea is the word pornography, should apply only to consenting adults.
Yeah.
Porn is not bad. But the way Tim used it turns that word into something bad. So it's not porn. It is child sex abuse material. It is material that does not involve consenting adults. So we shouldn't use the term that's for consenting adults.
That certain members of Congress will be granted access to the files for review, and after a bipartisan review, there'll be determination on what information can be released to the public.
Yeah, that seems like a better bill. Do you think that he'll rewrite it and come back?
I think he'll rewrite it in such a way.
So hold on, you're going to put the power in Congress to determine what parts to release. Why not just say don't release anything illegal?
Yeah.
Like, why do you need Congress
just put in there, like, put out, don't release any CSAM, don't release any names of victims. Is there anything else not to release?
That's it as far as I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would protect all the victims.
I guess any other identification, means of identification for victims, so should be anonymized.
Yeah, and again, the government is not going to release CSAM.
Yeah.
Like that material is illegal to own. So of course the government is not going to release that.
That it would just give the DOJ clearance to redact everything. Mm-hmm. Like, I'm sorry, the letter of this amendment is clear, and Democrats are.
Oh, so if you put the power in Congress, what you're saying is basically like, hey, any name that the Republicans don't want in here, they can just take that name out.
Yeah.
They see Donald J. Trump, they can just, boop, let's snip that out. Let's hide that name. And then we'll release, here's some more Republicans. Let's hide those names. We'll leave all the Democrats. We'll leave Bill Clinton right there at the top. And then, all the other names will just pluck those, take them right out. I have no problem at all. If Bill Clinton is on that list, it should be released and he should be convicted.
Yeah.
If any Democrat is on that list, the list should be released and they should be convicted. Right. I don't want child molesters in my party.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference between Democrats and Republicans, is if we find child molesters in our party, we want them out and we want them convicted.
Yep.
Republicans don't. They protect the child molesters in their party. Why? Because it would make their party look bad. You know what? It's much worse to have child molesters in your party than for your party to look bad. Sorry, Tim.
That's right.
Mad at me and yelling at me, but I'm right. It says any evidence related. There's no provision that would give the DOJ clearance to decide when not to release evidence. It says they have to do it. So how do Republicans vote yes on this?
I mean, there are other laws.
Yeah.
There are other laws about that material saying you can't release that material. It's illegal.
Yep.
This is a perfect example of, this is the importance of, again, that's not going to get us everything that we need. The stuff that people, the stuff that the American public are interested in, they want to know what he was doing, who he's working for, was he actually an asset for a foreign intelligence service? That's what people want. That's not going to just come from the DOJ side. You're going to have to go ahead and get the intel community involved, which is why them saying the Attorney General, I'll be honest with you guys, Pam Bondi's going to have a limited scope on this stuff. It's really going to be Tulsi Gabbard that's going to have everything on this when it comes to the intel side, because that's what people really want. And the other thing also that I think, because I wrote down real quick what I think people would have a lot of information for us. I want all the search warrant affidavits for every single one of his residences, because the reason why I'm saying that is because to get a federal search warrant requires an enormous amount of probable cause. And you have to have timely information to be able to go ahead and get it, and not only get it, but get it through the Southern District of New York, through the U.S. Attorney's Office. So that would have an enormous amount of information that the American public would want to see. Also, all the search warrants for his phones, the search warrants for his house out in New Mexico. I think that would be of great information for the people.
I don't think the warrants are that important. Like, sure, I do think they should be released, but I think the evidence is more important than the warrants.
Yeah, well, he's basically saying that the warrants has to include a bunch of evidence.
Okay. But like what they found during the searches is much more important.
Yeah, I would think so.
And they could put all that stuff out and it would have no effect on any ongoing cases.
The cases are closed.
Yeah.
To this day, the search warrant affidavits are still sealed. And I want to see those. Like those are going to be, search warrants are kind of like a huge gem when it comes to getting the information, because the agent, right? And I've ran hundreds of search warrants. That's why I can speak about this. You have to put all the information that you have. And not only do you have to put the information that you have to put information that is timely, because to get into someone's house, you need what's called fresh probable cause. And you need somewhere between 7 to 14 days of real information of what you're planning to find there, where you got your information. It's going to expose sources, it's going to expose methodologies. So this is why they probably still have it sealed, but that's going to be super important. And then I'm also interested to get the affidavits that they wrote, probably for his telephones and his electronic devices, because that's also going to have some important stuff. So for them to put just the Attorney General, I get it, but that's limited. So we need Tulsi Gabbard as well, the DNI. We need the search warrant affidavits.
And one more thing that you said you think that it's the intel stuff that people are mostly interested in. Is it really your sense that? Because the reason I ask is because from my perspective and the stuff that I see on X and stuff, people tend to be most vocal about the possibility of like child abuse and assaults on kids and stuff. That's the stuff that I see.
Yeah, I don't know what he's talking about with the whole intel stuff. That I would assume that, FBI or other regular law enforcement agencies would have all the information. Don't know. Unless they're trying to do that whole like Epstein was like an Israeli spy angle thing.
The way I see it, the public should know who these people are.
Yeah.
And if the FBI hasn't pursued prosecutions against them, we should figure out why the FBI was not doing that. You know, who at the FBI or above that level was telling them not to pursue these prosecutions?
Right.
Do you feel differently?
Yeah,
or?
no, 100%. But the reason, to be able to get that fully, you need to know why he was doing it. That's where it's going to be classified.
So you don't think
the nature of what he sent to a potential handler, to someone outside the country, is all going to be under the purview of the intelligence.
Because like, here's the thing: the criminal case is only getting a component of it, right? The criminal case is getting it like, what can we prove in a court of law? What I'm saying is what the American public is interested in, the methodologies, what he was doing, who were the people that were involved, why was he doing what he was doing. You're only going to get that on the high side.
And that's why
everything.
Trump may be telling the truth.
I don't really care about all of that. I care about who his clientele was. And we should be prosecuting those people. You know?
Yeah.
Like the methodology, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
Like if there was something nefarious in the methodology, sure, like that should be investigated too. But the most important thing to me, at least, is to make sure that these people who committed acts of child molestation are prosecuted for those acts.
Yes.
When he says there's nothing there, or the file is not what everyone thinks it is, because
that's not really what he said. So Donald Trump said that these files were written by Obama and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
That's what he said, which these files were written during his administration.
Yeah.
You know, Epstein died in 2019, right?
Yep.
So he became the president in January of 2017.
Yep.
So all of this was going on during Donald Trump's administration. So if these files were written by Obama, that doesn't make any sense. Why would Obama, who was not a government employee at the time, be writing these files? So yeah, Donald Trump is lying.
Aaron's point, the intelligence file is another thing. That's not going to be what Pam Bondi was. That I don't think that's what was on Pam Bondi's desk.
To that as much.
You know,
yeah.
And it's what we likely will never see.
And remember, DOJ, like when we talk about DOJ, unless like it's a national security case and they're trying to prosecute it, classified stuff is not going to come across them. They don't like dealing with classified stuff because it creates problems for them from a prosecution standpoint. So if we want to be able to get everything, right, to get the methodology and everything, because what we have with the kids, okay, so like I said before, there's a criminal side, then there's an intel side. The intel side I know is going to have everything. And then when you combine that with the criminal stuff, then you'll have the full picture. People are so focused on the criminal stuff, that's cool. Like, but I guarantee.
I don't know, again, I don't know where he's getting this like intel, like this, what classified side? I don't get that.
I don't think like he's talking about you need to know all this intel stuff to have the full picture. I don't think we need the full picture. Like, sure, it'd be better to have it, but like we just want to know who did the crimes. That's what we want to know.
Yeah.
We don't need to know like how the evidence, you know, what sort of probable cause they had to discover the evidence, and then like how the evidence was discovered, where it was found, all that stuff. Like, sure, that would be good to know, but like what's way more important is who the criminals are.
Yeah.
The methodologies, the handlers, etc., why he was doing what he was doing, that's going to be on the intel side.
So,
and the reason why they're probably not going to release it, they're going to give the bullshit excuse of national defense information, NDI.
So if you never get confirmation that, you know, Epstein was working with a foreign power, was involved in intel stuff or anything, would you, if there was never any evidence that came out, would you still believe that he was part of a whole intel cover-up type of
Well, I think they're
influence situation.
What they're going to do is they're going to release some of it and say, oh yeah, that's all that's there. And technically they might not be lying because they're talking about the criminal case. But I think that's why I'm being so specific and I'm saying, no, I want everything from the intel side too. I know there's a CIA file on this guy. I know that there's going to be an NSA file on this guy. I know there's going to be a DIA file. And they're going to hide behind it's now defense information or it's classified. No, we need that. Because if we want the Epstein in totality, we must get the high side stuff.
I agree with you. I think that the stuff on...
Yeah, I think he's still stuck on this angle that Epstein is some sort of spy for some foreign national, country.
If he is, I think that they could release the evidence without disclosing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't need to release everything related to Epstein, period. They need to release, or they should release, the evidence about his prosecution and the other criminals that he facilitated.
Yeah.
See people commentate about this and talk about Epstein or whatever, and they're like, we want the FBI file. Bro, the FBI is going to have a limited portion of it. Like, the guy was a foreign agent. We need everything from the IC, everything. And the only person that's going to have that is going to be Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, I think you're right. I don't think anything
that's where the American public needs to put pressure on. It's not just going to be on Bongino and Pam Bondi.
Also, I feel like this guy is giving too much credit. Like, the Epstein list, I don't know if there's an actual like list, but the people involved, the criminals who went to his island to molest children, that is probably where the cover-up is coming from. Those were rich and powerful people. I don't think the cover-up is coming from any sort of like national security threats. The cover is coming from these rich, powerful people involved in the government, at the highest levels of the government, or influencers of the highest levels of the government, protecting themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think there's any evidence that Epstein was a foreign agent of any type. I think this is just something that came up from people, some conspiracy theorists are like, oh, well, he's got to be a foreign agent, like doing all this stuff to get dirt on rich and powerful people in the United States. As far as I know, there's no evidence of that. But again, I'm not really like following all the conspiracies around Epstein that closely.
And you know what? If, let's say, this was all to get dirt on rich and powerful people in the United States, they still committed those crimes. So they still belong in prison.
Yeah.
And Kash Patel, the FBI has a part of it.
So
the IC is going to have everything.
So then if that's the case, then you could logically say...
So hold on, I want to point out on something you said, like, if it is like a foreign... if Epstein was a foreign agent, right? And they're doing some sort of like operation to get dirt on all these rich and powerful people... Like, if you put the rich and powerful people in jail for committing these crimes, then the foreign government doesn't have any leverage on them anymore.
There you go.
Because that was their leverage.
Yep.
So that solves the problem also.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Release the Epstein files. It's a win-win.
Gino and Kash Patel are telling the truth about what they've seen because they haven't seen anything that would be considered classified.
It's possible. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, we still need to keep the FBI's feet to the fire.
Sure.
But there's other agencies as well, and that's why we're not getting the full picture. And I think that if the American public puts pressure on the entire IC, on Tulsi Gabbard, on the FBI, on Pam Bondi, then we'll finally be able to get the full picture.
So why do you think that Pam Bondi and the FBI, that whole recent memo, why do you think they said in that memo that there was nothing else that could come out, that everything that was left was just like, like child abuse videos?
Because technically they can say, well, from the criminal perspective, this is all we have. And they technically wouldn't be lying, right? Because they look at it like
that just because they didn't have any more information.
Well, they look at it like if it's classified, we don't have to necessarily mention it to you. That's how they look at it, right? Hey, it's high side stuff, it's classified. Like you guys are never going to get that anyway. So we're only going to talk about what we can talk about.
Do you think they were telling the truth, or you think they were telling the truth from a limited, sort of dodgy perspective?
It could be from a limited.
They were given a
So even if the evidence were only like the only evidence that hasn't been released, even if it were only CSAM, that doesn't mean that the government can't release anything about it. They could release a description of who was committing the criminal act.
Yep.
They could release the names. And they could release the names of those people without releasing the names of the victims.
Yep.
So again, they're just fucking wrong. And I don't know why they're doing, well, I know why they're doing this. It's to protect the pedophiles that they like.
Yeah.
But like,
also,
how do they not see that that's how this comes across?
Yeah. I don't know. They're blinded by their party affiliation or something. I don't know.
Yep.
Also, I think it's kind of funny that this is supposedly a Tim Pool show and we've barely seen him.
Yep. Maybe he knows he shouldn't be talking about this.
Maybe
he's on the list.
a legal
doubt
opinion.
Yeah, so like, let me give you an example, right? Just so you guys understand, like, what I mean by this, right? So let's say I'm doing a case, right, a criminal case, and I have a component of my case that involves classified information. You will have, like, if you really want to do this properly, you will have what's called a taint agent. That taint agent will deal with all the classified stuff, and your job as the criminal case agent is to parallel reconstruct the stuff on the high side so you can present it in court. And the reason why is that if you get a question on the stand, hey, agent, XYZ ask you about something here, where if you know that information, right, but it's classified and you don't talk about it, well, that can jam you up on the stand. So they would purposely have that taint agent there to deal with the high side stuff so you can deal with the criminal stuff. Now, why am I telling you this? I'm saying this because there's like things put in place like this to protect agents from like lying technically on a stand or being looked at as like being deceptive or whatever. So what I'm saying is like they're technically might not be lying because they're saying like, well, look, like from the criminal side, this is what it is. And they might not be read in on all the other stuff that was going on because I guarantee this is probably going to be at the SCI level, secret compartmentalized level, which means like you need to be read in and you need to have a specific need to know on this portion. So they might only know the criminal side. I guarantee the case agent on the Epstein case, he probably just handles the criminal side. Then there's probably going to be a taint agent. So it's all kinds of stuff. But again, given the nature of who he was and who he was working for, there's going to be 100% a CIA involvement for sure.
This is a wild conspiracy theory when the actual conspiracy is so fucking obvious.
Yeah.
The actual conspiracy here is that there are big Republican names on that list, so the Republicans don't want it released.
Yep.
Probably Republican names and Republican donor names.
Yeah.
Too.
Interesting.
It's and the government does this on purpose, by the way. It's purposely nebulous like this and bureaucratic and divided so that people don't know where to go. So like the only way you're going to know is if you work in the intel community, you work in law enforcement, etc. That's why I know like, okay, she's going to know this, he's going to know there. We need to bring all you motherfuckers in.
Thanks for checking out this clip from Timcast I.
There he is. It is his podcast.
Yeah, so that was telling.
Yeah.
How Tim feels about this amendment.
Yeah.
You know, the way I feel about it, if I haven't made that obvious yet, is if there are big Democrat names, big names of big Democrats on that list, it should still be released, and those Democrats should be prosecuted.
Yep.
I think we can all agree on that. Even the Republicans agree on that. What the Republicans seem to not agree with is if there are Republican names on that list, they should be prosecuted too.
Right.
So yeah, I don't think we
agree.
should give the Republicans the power to censor that list the way they want to.
Yep.
That list should be the list of people who committed acts of child molestation should be released unredacted.
Right.
The full list, including, and this is my presumption, including Donald Trump.
Yeah. If he's on there, which we're really sure he's going to be on there.
I mean, we don't know 100%, but it seems like the dude's on there. The way he's acting, it seems like he's on there.
Yeah, he's He's acting so guilty.
Yep. And I think that's one of the biggest reasons why people like Tim Pool don't want that list released unredacted.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, boy, that was a video.
Yep, it was.
Yep, 2 weeks in a row we've had rough stuff. So maybe we should go back to conservatives playing Minecraft.
Yeah, that was a lot more fun.
Yep. All right. Well, this has been Sylph Uncensored. Thanks for checking it out. Don't forget to like the channel and subscribe to the video. If you like this show, check out our other shows at echoplexmedia.com, and you can support us by buying my silly merch items at icecreamonahotdog.com, and you can also buy Echoplex stuff at eplex.store. And check us out live. We do this show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/sylphweed. Sylph like is in the name over there, and then weed like the stuff you smoke. All right. See you next week.
Bye.